I think she's got a tough tour ahead of her. It won't go smoothly for them. But of course, it's all about money.
Yeah.
I mean, she's literally selling herself, selling her clothes, selling her brand. It's a tough out there for her.
Australians in uproar over the most revolting fake royal tour the world has ever seen. Aussie politicians hitting out at Prince Harry and Meghan Markle for the cost of this fake tour.
She always thought that she'd prefer some sort of career, but when she saw how little money there was in being a royal and how much you had to work for it, in any case, she wanted to head back to California even before she got married.
Yeah.
So that was the end of that.
Here's the kind of wisdom Markle offered on mental health in the form of a quote she claims to look at every single day.
But I remember soon after that they left the royal family, Harry did the same story. He just keeps on about this story.
That Meghan was not going to obey any rules. She had no intention of staying, and that she was going to be a huge problem. Many believe that it's impossible for the marriage to continue. I think the children keep them together. I think the lack of escape for Harry to back to the royal family will keep them together. But they're under huge pressure now because of the finances. And I think that is always a huge test, a big test. They get found out. They get found out because they really live in a bubble. They really think that whatever they say must, by definition, be accepted by everyone as the truth, regardless of what the truth is. And this time, Harry is going to be found out.
It seemed like fun, and then, they absolutely ruined it through no fault of their own. And to be charging $1,000 for a ticket to see them speak and to be complaining about a tour. I'm on tour at the moment. I'm on tour in the UK doing stand-up comedy, and my tickets do not cost $1,000, and I'm better at stand-up comedy than Meghan Markle.
Sick children, cameras flashing. A woman who just stepped off a long-haul international flight, pressing her face against a child in a wheelchair. And according to a source inside that hospital, before she even walked through those doors, she said just 4 words. Let's make this quick. That right there tells you everything you need to know about the Australia trip.
Well, Australian taxpayers are partially paying for Mr. and Mrs. Grifter's phony royal tour down under. Yes, Meghan Markle and her spare handbag Harry are on their way to Australia for the latest instalment of the Sussex's soap opera, months, of course, after that fake visit to the Middle East.
But today we are going much deeper than the optics, because Tom Bower, the man who literally wrote the book on the Sussexes, has been watching every single move. And what he told me will shock even the most seasoned royal watcher.
Well, I think they're back because they live off the oxygen of publicity.
Yeah.
And this Australian tour is completely based on them seeking a bit more money and trading on their fame and finding it pretty difficult, I think.
Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will understand not just what is happening in Australia right now, but what is about to happen in a London courtroom that could change everything for Prince Harry.
Well, it's more than that, you see. It was a battle for control. And in the battle for control, which Harry was losing, they seek to force Sophia Chanduka's resignation, to dismiss her. And she, because she's a lawyer and much more clever than Harry and his good friend Dyer, goes to the court to prevent her dismissal and forces an investigation by a thing called the Charity Commission, which looks into the way the charity is run.
Now, if you are a regular here, you know that when Tom Bower speaks, I listen. His book Betrayal, and before that, Revenge, are forensic examinations of Harry and Meghan built on sources, documents, and interviews that no one else has.
Tom Bower, author of Betrayal, Power, Deceit, and the Fight for the Future of the Royal Family. If you've read it, you know it's a forensic examination of many of the contradictions and controversies surrounding Harry and Meghan over the past several years. The Sussexes are kind of inconsistent that way, right? Where, like, they disappear and then they're back, and they're back with a vengeance.
This is not tabloid gossip. This is investigative biography. And the reason Tom's analysis cuts through is because he does not speculate. He builds a case. What Tom told me this week is that the Australia trip is not a comeback. It is not a rehabilitation. It is, in his own word, grubby. And coming from a man who has spent years documenting this couple's behavior in granular detail, that single word carries enormous weight.
Well, yeah, except that she now, apparently in this trip, wants to be known as Meghan, not as the Duchess.
Yeah.
Because, of course, the Australians know a fraud when they see one. And so they're not going to put up with her airs and graces as a royal. But I think she's got a tough tour ahead of her. It won't go smoothly for them.
So let us break down exactly why, starting with the trip itself. Let us start with what is genuinely disturbing people. And I mean genuinely, not in a manufactured outrage way. The Royal Children's Hospital in Melbourne. Immunocompromised children, some fighting terminal illness, were brought down from their wards into a public reception area. No masks for the photo opportunity. Cameras rolling. A full media team present.
Over the fact that young Australian children suffering from terminal illnesses in some cases have been used to try and rehabilitate not themselves, but the reputation of the dastardly Sussexes. Let me tell you though, Aussies take no bullshit, and it's not working.
Now think about what that means medically. These are children whose immune systems are so compromised that in many cases their own siblings cannot visit without protection protocols. And here we have two people who had just disembarked from a long international flight, carrying whatever bacteria and viruses an aircraft full of strangers generates, pressing close to those children for photographs.
This visit to the hospital did get attention, but I would argue for all of the wrong reasons. I mean, could you imagine any other member of the British royal family hustling to bring a whole load of young children going through the most terrible health battles, bringing them down from their hospital rooms into the foyer for some type of public display? It genuinely revolted me.
As Tom Bauer points out, compare that to Princess Diana, who visited children's hospitals constantly and consistently refused cameras because she understood that the moment you put a sick child in front of a lens, the visit stops being about the child.
Royal tours in the past, if they involve a hospital, will see the particular member of the royal family going to the hospital bedside of the patients involved, especially if it's at a children's hospital. Although I do point out Princess Diana visited children's hospital all the time without cameras whatsoever because she knew it would be highly inappropriate to put these types of children in front of the cameras. I mean, I think the expression on these kids' faces showed they were not all too enamored about meeting Prince Harry and Meghan Markle.
And then there is the detail that emerged from inside the hospital itself. Those 4 words. Let's make this quick. A source. A hospital worker. Someone who was there. And if that is accurate, and it is consistent with the documented pattern of behavior that Tom has spent years cataloging, then what we witnessed was not compassion. It was content creation.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you, Dan. I mean, this is, especially when you understand the sort of the Machiavellian PR moves behind it, that's so cynical. And to exploit these children like that and force them to meet Harry and Meghan. I mean, haven't these kids suffered enough? It's awful. It's interesting that the trajectory of Harry and Meghan's profile in Australia is the same as it is in the UK. They were welcomed. Everybody thought it was exciting.
The children's faces, by the way, tell their own story. You can see it. They were not starstruck. They were uncomfortable. And yet their faces are now all over the internet. While Meghan and Harry's own children have never once been shown to the public in a candid, uncontrolled setting. The contrast is not lost on anyone.
Harry himself, and I did like him such a lot, but now I just think he's awful. He has children who are not allowed to see their family apart from Meghan's mother, right? He's a father who doesn't let anybody see the face of his children. They must by now realize that something is very odd.
It's not good. Yes, it's not good parenting if you don't let your children meet their grandfather, the king.
Now here is where this gets serious. And this is the story the Australia tour was almost certainly designed to bury, because the timing is not a coincidence. In March of 2026, a defamation lawsuit was filed against Prince Harry in the London High Court, filed by Centabale, the African charity he co-founded. We did not find out about it until April 10th. and the allegations are extraordinary.
Well, something that the Australian tour has successfully done for the Sussexes is distract from a really terrible headline, which is CELEB, the charity co-founded by Prince Harry. They filed a defamation lawsuit against him, and the legal action was lodged in the London High Court in March of 2026, but we didn't find out about it until April 10th, 2026.
The charity's CEO, Dr. Sophie Chandauka, alleges that Harry and his associate Mark Dyer ran a coordinated adverse media campaign against her, designed to cause operational disruption and destroy her reputation.
Harry and Mark Dyer have been the architects of a coordinated adverse media campaign that caused operational disruption and reputational harm to the organization and its leadership. Prior to the lawsuit, Chandauka has accused Prince Harry of harassment and bullying at scale to force her out.
Tom Bauer goes deep on this in Betrayal, and what he reveals is a pattern that, once you see it, cannot unsee.
You have such incredible sources in Betrayal, and you go into that breakdown of the relationship with Dr. Sophie Chandauka and Prince Harry in detail. Did you get the sense while you were investigating that breakdown and while you were writing this book that something bigger could be on the horizon?
Bigger in the sense of what do you mean?
This lawsuit. I mean, I was shocked by the lawsuit. So I guess I'm wondering if when you sat back and you heard some of this stuff, did you think to yourself, he could get in a lot of trouble for that behavior?
Dr. Chandauka is a lawyer. She is analytical. She is strategic. And before she accused Harry of anything publicly, she commissioned independent research. She wanted proof, hard evidence that his behavior, his public statements, his book, his Netflix series, his Oprah interview were actively damaging the charity's donor base.
Dr. Sophie, she's so analytical and strategic in just, I think, the way that she functions in general. And she wanted to bring Prince Harry proof before she accused him of being having a negative impact on the charity, which she, I feel like, intuitively knew. She thought to herself, I'm going to go have a third party actually do some research so that I can present him with proof that his behavior, some of his actions, the consequences of an Oprah Winfrey interview, a book where you talk about your Todger a million times, and, being disparaging in general about the British royal family, it's created issues with our donors.
She presented that evidence to him, calmly, with data. And his response, according to Tom's reporting, he told her she had affected his mental health. Think about that. A grown man, presented with documented evidence that his own actions are harming children in Botswana and Lesotho. And his response is to make himself the victim.
And she presents him with this information in a very clean, clear fashion. And he was so angry about it. He actually returns to her at some point and says, you've affected my mental health with this.
As Tom puts it, Harry does not like being told what to do. And when someone as formidably intelligent as Dr. Chandauka refuses to back down, refuses to protect Meghan's reputation, refuses to be managed, Harry went behind her back, spoke to donors, briefed newspapers against her.
Which is such an immature reaction to a grown-up problem and a problem that he could have easily solved by just saying, well, let's step back. I'm going to give you 6 months to do whatever it is you want to do. But no, he according to your book, according to Sophie, he goes behind her back, talks to donors, says, don't give her any money. And he really does ultimately, according to these reports, hurt this charity that he created.
And according to Tom, the casualties in all of this are the African children the charity was built to serve. Dr. Chandauka is fighting back. She went to court to prevent her dismissal. She forced an independent investigation. And now there is a defamation action pending. Tom's assessment is blunt. Harry thinks he can beat a very determined woman. Tom does not think he will.
Well, his problem is that he doesn't like anyone telling him what to do. And he didn't like Sophie Chandauka telling him that he was damaging his own charity by his own image. The real problems start when Meghan arrives at this charity polo match in Florida and behaves outrageously. And Harry, she forces Chandauka away from presenting the prize so she can do it. And it's all just absolutely ludicrous. And Harry wants wants Chanduka to actually protect Meghan's reputation, which she refuses to do. And of course, that is the cause of a huge explosion between Harry and Chanduka, Sophie Chanduka. And of course, Meghan, one feels, is in the background saying that he should have nothing to do with her. And from then it goes downhill all the way there's an enormous bust-up in the boardroom. And the trouble is, of course, the casualties are the poor Africans in Botswana and Lesotho who are meant to be benefiting from the charity. Harry is more interested in his reputation than in the people who are meant to be the beneficiaries of his charity.
And Sentabile is not the only legal fire burning. Tom Bower believes Harry is heading toward a serious loss in his long-running case against the Daily Mail Group in London. And the reason is one that should give anyone pause about Harry's judgment. In sworn testimony, Harry claimed he had no meaningful relationship with a Mail on Sunday journalist named Charlotte Griffith. None. He said it under oath. And then, on the final day of proceedings, she produced emails. A significant volume of emails, suggesting a relationship that was, by any reasonable reading, close and ongoing.
She had raised enough money for it to continue despite Harry. And it's that she is fighting against in the London court. And of course, since then, there have been another briefing of newspapers in London by Harry's people about how awful Chanduka is. So, the thing about Harry is he's not very clever. And he thinks he can beat a woman who is a very, very determined fighter. And he's going to find it pretty difficult to win. And he is now, because of also this case against the London Daily Mail, which was the judgment we're waiting for, he's going to find himself in considerable trouble, in my view.
Tom draws a direct parallel to Prince Andrew and the Epstein denials. These are people, Tom says, who live in a bubble so complete that they genuinely believe whatever they say must be accepted as truth, regardless of what the documentary evidence shows. And time after time, the documents surface, the emails appear, the witnesses come forward.
CG string was my favorite line. CG string XX. Thirsty Thursdays is a new addition to my vocabulary thanks to those text messages. So I took away a couple of new lines from that exchange. It changed my life, Tom Bower.
If Harry loses this case, and Tom believes he will, he faces something potentially worse than a financial penalty. He faces being publicly branded in a court judgment as someone whose sworn testimony was not credible. That is the kind of reputational damage that does not wash off. So what is Australia actually about? Tom is clear. It is about money, the wellness symposium, the $1,000 per ticket speaking events, the clothes that Meghan wears to a children's hospital and then posts for sale online the same afternoon.
But of course, it's all about money.
Yeah.
I mean, she's literally selling herself, selling her clothes, selling her brand. It's tough out there for her. That they've gone to Australia to make some money, and it'll be interesting to see how much they actually do make. Because
you're absolutely right.
her health symposium, the 2-day event, doesn't seem to be a sellout. Her clothes, of course, will sell well because there are people who hang on to her fashion advice.
The celebrity chef appearances. All of it. Tom calls it trading on fame, while the fame itself is depreciating.
But there's little else there other than this celebrity chef stuff.
Yeah.
And we all know that Meghan's cooking is something which is not really desirable.
No, exactly. What a nice way to... That's such a sweet way of putting that.
There is something almost poignant, though I am not inclined to sympathy, about the arc here. 5 years ago, they had a Netflix deal, a best-selling memoir, the Oprah interview. They were, briefly, the most talked-about couple on the planet. And now, the wellness event in Sydney is not selling out. No other country has invited them for anything resembling a state tour since Nigeria and Colombia. Australia may be the last market willing to pay this price for access to their brand. And the brand is built entirely on those titles, Duke and Duchess of Sussex. That is the product. Strip away the titles and what remains? An actress whose last significant role was Suits, and a prince whose value proposition was always the institution he walked away from. The audience frustration over titles is real. And it is justified.
But he also wants to have all the kudos and you know, carry that weight of being a royal. It's like, pick one. And, you know, to be honest, like, one, to have your cake and eat it. I hope Meghan's not making that cake. I watched her Netflix cooking show, and I mean, what did she do? What did she do? All she did was get like a tub of hummus from the supermarket and sprinkle some flowers around it. It was like something I'd do with my 3-year-old daughter. You know, it wasn't cooking. It's like, oh, we chopped some carrots into sticks. Oh, well done, Meghan. You know what I mean? Here's a sticker for you.
These are people who have used every available platform to attack and undermine the monarchy, and they are simultaneously monetizing their proximity to it. Tom acknowledges the resentment, but doubts King Charles will act. His theory is that Charles carries too much guilt over his treatment of Diana to fully cut Harry off. That, Tom suggests, may ultimately be down to William. Meanwhile, and this is the part of the story that gives me genuine hope, King Charles is about to do something remarkable. He is traveling to the United States on a diplomatic mission to rebuild the special relationship at a moment when it is under real strain. No public Oval Office meeting. Tom says that was deliberately avoided, and wisely so. Charles will be controlled, measured, and purposeful.
Well, I think he's been very clever or his advisors have, to prevent any public Oval Office encounter. That would have been extremely damaging for King Charles. His visit will be very controlled. I think you're right, he'll be there to make sure there's emollients and rebuilding of bridges. And President Trump is right to hold Charles in high regard. I mean, whatever his faults have been, he is an accomplished diplomat in many ways and knowledgeable in many things. And I think that those who are demanding that his visit should be postponed or cancelled were very wrong. I think he'll do a terrific job of rebuilding relations.
Tom's view is that Charles is, whatever his personal history, a genuinely accomplished diplomat. He knows things. He has relationships that span decades. And President Trump's evident admiration for him is not nothing. It is a working asset. An unelected man of nearly 80 years old may end up doing more to repair the transatlantic relationship than the elected officials on either side have managed.
And unfortunately, a lackluster prime minister who we're suffering from. It's quite extraordinary that an unelected monarch, a man nearly 80 years old, is going to now have to rebuild the special relationship. But that's exactly why we have a monarch and not a president, because they can stand above the hurly-burly and the terrible grittiness of the gutter and just bring a bit of sense to the whole thing. And Britain and America, the oldest of allies, do need a bit of repair work, unfortunately. And I think King Charles sees this.
And Harry? Tom is unambiguous. Any contact during this visit would be a catastrophic mistake. The entire purpose of the trip would be hijacked. Every headline, every moment of diplomatic goodwill would be consumed by Sussex drama. The answer is no. It must be no. And Tom believes it will be no. As for Invictus, Harry wants to bring his family to Birmingham next year and have a member of the royal family show up to legitimize it. Tom thinks he will struggle to get the security arrangements he is demanding. And without that, there is no family visit. And without the family visit, the whole exercise collapses into exactly what it looks like. 5 years ago, they were riding so high with their Netflix series and then with his best-selling autobiography and everything else. But they've fallen so far. It's so grubby, their trip to Australia. If he actually comes to London for these games, the Invictus Games, and goes to Birmingham, the idea of Meghan coming here appalls everyone. They're furious with the Sussexes on the whole. The general mood is just don't want anything to do with them. And if he loses the Daily Mail case, it'll be even worse, because he'll then be like Andrew, branded as a liar, that his evidence wasn't honest and sincere. So he has huge reputational problems. A man trying to use wounded veterans as a vehicle for his own rehabilitation. So here's where we land. Tom Bauer has been watching this couple longer than almost anyone. He has the documents, the sources, the timeline. And his conclusion is not that Harry and Meghan are all-powerful operators running rings around the institution. His conclusion is that they are struggling, reputationally, financially, legally, on almost every front simultaneously. The Australia trip is not a triumphant return. It is the last available market. The defamation lawsuit from their own charity is not going away. Dr. Chandauka is not settling. She wants her day in court. The Daily Mail case is heading toward a judgment that Tom believes will not be kind. And Invictus without royal support is a brand without a product. Tom's word for all of it, grubby, is doing a lot of work. Because grubby is not dramatic. It is not tragic. It is just small. And small is exactly what these two have become, after spending years trying to be enormous. As always, I want to know what you think. Are you watching this Australian trip? Do you believe King Charles should finally act on the titles? And are you following the Sentabali lawsuit? Because personally, I think that is the most important story in this entire saga right now, and Dr. Sophie Chandauka deserves far more attention than she is getting. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to see it, and I will see you in the next one.